muses and more morning musings. Yes, precious, it is Monday morning, and I hope everyone is well, or at least relatively well. I know sometimes Monday can be kind of like sitting in the dentist chair, or it can be like sitting in a dentist chair. However, at least the sun is shining where I am, and the world is a relatively kind of okay, somewhat happy place. Well, look who it is in the chat. Hello, it is Adega Outlaw. Thank you for being here. Adega Outlaw is here, and so is Hi-Fi Mombi. Hello, so good to see you all, and have everyone saying good morning to each other. We are happy people here at Miss Martin Muses, or at least we try to be. Well, I am sitting here with a fluffy, fluffy cat and a lovely cup of coffee. So, what could be wrong in the world? Not really. All right. Well, we're not going to talk about what's going on in the world right now because I kind of had my say about that last week. And I think that that's just enough of that. It's going to be what it's going to be. No one's going to listen anyway. So, what's the point? However, I will throw this out here. Remember, arguing on the internet is a waste of time because no one listens there either. There's a reason to. And that's a little bit of a segue into what I want to talk about today. Oh my goodness gracious sakes alive. And now I know that this shouldn't come as a shock, but it is always nice to get some validation. The idea that, well, guess what? People are actually being paid to post things on X. So whenever it just seems like a whole bunch of influencers are posting the same thing all at once where something's trending and you're like, where on earth did this come from? Well, guess what? Just like what you were dealing with the normal old, if you will, dinosaur media, it's just made its way into digital media. And once you see it, oh boy, you cannot unsee it. Well, look at Salty Traveling Sea. Hello. Nothing like a 5 a.m. Pacific start to the work week. Oh my goodness. Woof. So you're up early. I'm going to be up early tomorrow because I will be flying. I think it's a great idea, Miss Martin Muses. Okay, well, thank you. Yes. Hey, Salty, everyone's saying good morning. Everyone, we love each other. I know what's happening on X. Yes, yes. Well, there's two aspects of X that you got to keep in mind. One is once it got monetized, we all saw the change. Rage bait, rage farming, posting of, old news stories. What do you think? Or just asking asinine questions suddenly became the thing. Why? Because it gets you engagement. And that's, I think, where ratio was thrown out the window. I explained that in one of my rage bait videos. So yes, that's one of the things. But yeah, are you talking about the whole soda thing? That the people, quote unquote, on our side, that conservative influencers were taking money to push back against something that Maha is thinking of doing, where you cannot get sodas with food stamps. And it was ridiculous. They were almost identical, and they come out at the same time. And a lot of people have now been coming a little bit out of the closet, maybe with jealousy. Who knows? Because maybe they weren't invited in on these schemes. But it turns out that they are paid well, sometimes up to $1,000 a post. We're talking some serious money. So if you're ever wondering, like, why do you keep saying this? Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep poking this bear? Well, they're being paid to do so. And they'll even say, like, on what days to do it. And here's some wording, or here's different variations of the wording. And it's really, really, just makes you feel yucky. It really does. Now, this particular one, maybe they overreached, but it turns out now once you see it, you can't unsee it. You're seeing all. And when I'm talking influencers, I'm talking the really, really the big ones, like even the ones that get invited to the White House. We had Bindergate a few weeks ago. That red pilled me, or black pilled. I think I'm well beyond red pill. I'm totally black pilled. That black pilled me on how even people on our side are manipulating us for whatever reason. I still think it was one of the dumbest things that ever happened, and I hope that whoever orchestrated that got fired because it was ridiculous. But yeah, we know that they're not all operating independently. It's not organic and all that. So practically speaking, what does that do for us? Well, for starters, what it does is I tell people not to feel badly. What do you mean don't feel badly? Well, because sometimes you'll see people that get very, very frustrated. Like, why can't I ever get traction? Why isn't anyone seeing my stuff? Why aren't I getting the subs? Why aren't I getting the views and all that? Some cases it is completely organic. It really is. For the most part, though, there's a team behind it. Whether it's something literally like we'll pay you this many for this many posts to this many topic, or whether it's certain key retweeting and you'll see oh gosh, you just can't unsee it. Once you unsee it. To and that if you get a bunch of people retweeting, especially huge accounts doing it, that's how you get visible. So if you're trying to break into that, you're doing an uphill battle. And I'm not trying to say this to be bitter because I would not like to be a part of this because I think that it's a terrible way to live. I think that it really starts to go in on your soul. Now, if you're able to do it and it not affect your soul, well, more power to you. I take my hat off to you. But it's just not a way that I want to be a part of for me personally. I was doing it a little bit back in was around 12 to 2017. There's a situation in event, but it was not official. It was unofficial, the kind of aspects of how you get these things churning around. And you get tired. You get tired after a while, especially when it's negative content, when it's negative things. It's it just isn't good for you. Salty Traveling Sea, as always, is simply just not speaking his mind and just won't just come out and say it, right? You just are holding back. You're always holding back. Of course, that's a little me being a little silly. Of course, he is not. X is now becoming brain dead, 3-day old breaking news and ripping off legitimate reporters to repost their work for engagement farming. Damn right. That's another thing. Like, there's a lot of these accounts that they will use someone else's video, upload it, and they get the credit for it. And they repost it for engagement farming, yes. And then they all repost each other. And someone pointed out, and often Elon Musk will retweet it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm not saying in his case if there's anything official going on, but man, it's a pattern. It's a pattern. It's fun to watch facades fall. Yeah. Salty Travelers case, I agree. The gutter grade nonsense shows through. I was fooled with decades old news sometimes. Salty Traveling Sea. Hot take. Engagement and views are objectively worthless. A short on YouTube with 1 million views gets you 6 cents. I'm not kidding. Go live life. Yes, correct. Yeah, you're not going to make a lot of money. It's not going to happen. Unless, another not so dirty little secret, and not anything wrong with it. A lot of the people that are really truly making a bunch of money are through super chats. We've seen some of these shows where right off the bat, $100, $200, $500, $1,000. It's insane the amount of money that comes up with super chats. That's where the money is made. Also, I've learned that there's a lot of corporations behind these channels. People might look at me and say, "Are you silly? Really? You didn't know that?" No, really, I didn't. I didn't. So that's also where their money's coming from. You're being paid to do it. Keep that in mind. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. They'll be going on certain channels certain rather even major news outlets all of a sudden. It's like, yeah, that just happened organically. So that's where people's money are coming from. Grifter, hey y'all, and great to see Salty Traveling Sea. We haven't seen you around in a while. Hope it's well with you. Yes, 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 yes. Everyone's saying hello to each other. So, and more power to you. If that's how you're making your money, that's great. Just keep in mind, as someone that's not a part of it, don't let it make you feel bad. And maybe don't chase that algorithm. That's almost a form of indentured servitude or something. People that are slaves to the algorithm, I got to do this because of the algorithm, that because of the algorithm, or if I'll do this kind of a video, maybe, but what do you get out of it? Some people, I think, do get a sense of validation. My humble opinion is it's more like an addiction. And you got to cut it off cold turkey. This is something that I would put a challenge to people. I've done this challenge myself. There's something in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, my Bill W., where he's talking about, are you an alcoholic? Is Alcoholics Anonymous for you? And he said something to the effect of, well, see if you can go without drinking. If you can go without drinking for a few days, a week, and it's no big deal, well, then you probably don't have a problem. It said AA is for the people that obviously can't. But yeah, you don't need AA if you can stop, literally stop anytime you want. Use that test on your social media. Use that test on even checking X, doom scrolling. What's the first thing you do in the morning? Do you doom scroll? Like, I've told myself starting yesterday that I'm not going to check my X, even my notifications. So please don't anyone get their feelings hurt if you tag me and I don't respond. What I'm doing is DMs only. This is for my personal psychological health. DMs only. And so far, it's actually been kind of hard because the first thing I am like, oh, I gotta go see my notifications. Oh, I gotta go see who's saying this. Oh, what's going on with this scandal? Oh, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it really is a manipulation. It's an addiction, and we've seen how it can be used for good. I believe very sincerely that we wouldn't have seen the results that we saw if it weren't for Elon Musk buying X and for certain stories being allowed to get out there. On the other hand, though, the dark side. I've said before that I feel like sometimes he needs to STFU. And we definitely know our president needs to STFU on X. And that there is a temptation to get blinded to the real world effects of what you are saying on X. I'm going to be covering this with my Catholic Splaining online trolling. I know I've been teasing it for quite a while. The problem is it's been a little bit difficult to make because you got to be careful with your words and your research, but I'm going to get there. But just keep all of these things in mind. Is this good for you? Is it really good for you? Again, my black pill moment was when our side started trolling me. Now, were they trolling me? Did they know who Teresa was? No, but they were trolling us, our side. It's like, no, I will not tolerate that. I can't. I can't. So I'm sorry. And needs to stop. Because my voting probably won't change, but partly how they won was by not crapping on the people that vote for them. You just can't do that. All right. What is X? I have no social media. Good for you. Or are you being disingenuous? Okay, Salty Traveling C says, living outside of the YouTube matrix. Hope you're well. Yeah, it is a matrix. I've never commented on your channel. Well, okay, they're saying some stuff to each other. Now I'm like, I want to support the channels I do. Oh, well, thank you. Well, I hope I'm one of them. Salty Travis, he says, Teresa is speaking to why I stopped making regular content with hours of my time devoted to a rigged algorithm game. There is no return on one's investment. Yes. And when you talk about hours, we mean hours. Making videos is incredibly difficult. It takes a lot of time. And again, I'm throwing this out here. It's not necessarily everyone. I have seen some people that just have genuinely good, funny content. I'll throw it out there. Our hilts hurt, and they're doing extremely well. And I think it genuinely is because they're just doing fun stuff. They record these videos and put them like out once a week. But yes, you can work your butt off for very, very small pay. Yep, no Twitter, says Grifter, no Facebook, no Instagram, no TikTok. Am I missing something? No. If you'd have asked me this question 3 weeks ago, I would have said yes. Now I'm saying no. It's fake. And even this whole where we're trying to get people's emotions up, we're trying to get stuff to light by bringing these things, but they're doing it by getting normal people upset. And then suddenly the story disappears. It's like, so you got me all riled up and you got me all upset, and then you quit talking about it. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Pam Bondi. But it's like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. Have fun playing with someone else's emotions. I don't have time for that. The only time X is good, in my humble opinion nowadays, besides throwing out things, I know that this is the way that we stay in touch. It's good for DMs. It's good for sharing things that you genuinely want people to see. It's good for breaking news. If something breaks, you need to go there. Otherwise, you're just being manipulated. You're being rage baited. And it's not funny. We're seeing a little bit of FAFO because remember, a lot of people are unstable. I can go days without looking at my phone. I don't need it. Very good. No, Snortapoopus Kruber. Hello, humans and other critters. Yes, thank you for being here. So good to see you. Yes, hello. Aren't we even dividing platforms by political sides now too? X versus Blue Sky, understanding correctly. Maybe. Blue Sky tried to do it after the election, but I don't know how successful they are. People are still on X. X is where it's supposed to be. That's why it was a really good investment. Yeah, but ooh, and the glee. There's something sociopathic about the glee that individuals are displaying by causing people genuine pain and anxiety. There's something wrong with that. And even if you're a so-called tougher person who can handle it, over time, it cannot be good for your soul. It can't be. You can't lie or manipulate. Even if it's for a good cause, it's still manipulation. Remember, as much as $1,000 to post and to post at a certain time. So next time you randomly see something trending, and if these huge influencers seem to all be kind of saying the same thing all of a sudden, or retweeting each other, or quote tweeting each other all of a sudden, I don't know, you might be manipulated. Now, I think that this is the way that media used to work. It still works this way, and we just didn't know about it. There's some small part of me that's like, maybe we didn't need to know. I fooled myself into thinking that media was changed. No, it's not changed. It is shifting hands. That's all that happened. Same problem, different day. Salty Traveling Sea says 6 hours to make 10 minutes, a smart research, tightly edited, multi clip video every single time for 1,000 to 3,000 views worth 40 cents. Life is worth more than that. Darn right. It's worth your time. Grifter says, well, is that the YouTube algorithm payment? That's insane. Yes, you don't make a lot of money unless, how do I say this? You'll see other people making like every time they post, every time they even blurb something, it'll get like 142,000 views. They're making some money. Still, though, corporate sponsorships and super chats are where the money is. Make that absolute box. That would make more. You would make more on a Twitch live stream. Yeah, and they keep people going with the hope of making money. You might be that next big person. Is this good for our souls? I don't think so. Now, why am I here? Am I a hypocrite? No, I'm here doing the exact same thing that I've been doing from the very beginning. I sometimes have things I like to say. I like to maybe make some people's mornings happy, maybe make people think about something, maybe make them happy, distracted, thought thinking. That's why I'm here. That is not to say that I don't appreciate especially the super chats and the super stickers. Absolutely, I do. And it does help me to keep going with some of the stuff that I do want to make. So I'm not trying to say that it's all for nothing. It's not. I'm just saying don't base your happiness on it. You need to have a different reason for going on your videos, a different reason for sharing, a different reason for being present. Otherwise, you're just going to drive yourself mad. Stop making me think. It hurts. How do people uploading YouTube make money then? Well, I kind of answered that, but also there are people that really do get gazillion views, millions of views, but it's not what you would think. Okay, let's see. Salty Traveling is answering this. They really don't make money. YouTube used to force creators to do it because they wanted to be TikTok. Yeah, they definitely encourage you. And I love it because they say, oh, poor people will see it. No, they won't. See your channel. No, they won't. Side note for you, Salty, I'm with you. Perrin will be kissing. Oh, wait, you know what? That might be a spoiler. So I don't want to see it because the TV show is trash and they are bringing different books forward. I am still reading on book 5. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to look there. I just don't want to. But you can look it up yourself. Now, Riley Gaines, she posted in response to this little bit of scandal. Actually, let me go ahead and go over to X so you can see a little bit of where I was coming from with this. Let me find it here. Make sure my messages aren't showing. They are not. Now, I bookmarked this. This was where I decided to start to make the decisions to, yeah. I'm going to do this in a manner that it doesn't look like I'm calling out certain individuals because I really don't like to do that. Even huge, big influencers. If for no other reason that there's people that are insane. All right, here we go. Soda companies are paying influencers to pressure the Trump administration to keep taxpayer-funded soda subsidies for lower income people. And they're showing like the relevant tweets. You can't see on here who's doing it, but you can look for yourself. And then Riley Gaines chimed in. They offered to pay me to post. A big fat heck no. So we know that they are going to big influencers to get them to post. Part of me wonders though, these people offered to pay you. Have other people? I don't know. Now, when you're talking about money, though, when you look at the kind of things that Riley Gaines and all them get, you do make money on X for these kind of things. And I think that's why so many people are putting their energy into X right now. And then RFK decided to chime in. Thank you for your integrity, Riley. It's troubling that some companies now think they have a right to demand taxpayer money to poison our children. And of course, everyone's like, how much do they offer? I'm curious much many people sold out for. Well, I told you it could be between 100 and 1,000. I think this particular one was 1,000. But man, someone also started pointing out different tweets where the price of eggs, all of a sudden, a whole bunch of MAGA influencers were all almost posting the same thing. Now, am I saying that they were being paid? No, but it makes you wonder. It sure does. So, yeah, just keep in mind you're being manipulated and act accordingly. I hate the expression touch grass. On the other hand, you need to. Please do. Touch grass. Get away from it if you can. They're laughing all the way to the bank, and you're losing your peace. Over what? Over manipulation. Oh, dear. Well, anyway, so that was what kinda got me going with some of this discussion. This popped up, and that was when I decided, "Okay, I'm not gonna look at it." I had bookmarked that particular one from Riley Gaines so I could find it again. I'm gonna see how I go. I'm gonna see how I go with this. I'm just done with doom scrolling. I can't. Now that I know and I s oh, look at who retweets who. It's something you can't miss even if you tried. So, in any case, speaking of, yeah, The Wheel of Time, I am on book 5, and it is a great read, so I think everyone should read The Wheel of Time. I am biased. Don't watch The Wheel of Prime, even if you are hate watching. I think that there are different schools of thought. My goodness, I said think about several times about whether that's good for you. I don't know. I know when the Rings of Power came out, there was a lot of some people were watching it, some people started watching it and stopped. I didn't touch the first season with a 10-foot pole. I couldn't. I could not. It was I knew it was gonna mess with me a little bit, and some people did find that case. By the time season 2 rolled around, it was so far out and so different. I was able to watch most of it. Won't lie, sometimes I search, I'm like, "Oh, this is so boring. I gotta keep let's just get to the next scene or really shut up." But did not affect how I look at the Lord of the Rings or anything. It wasn't messing with my brain because it was so different. It was so far out from anything close to what the story was. So I was fine. Wheel of Time, I'm avoiding it as much as I can because again, I don't want to get the images in my head. Though I did do the whole little bit of comparison with the actors last week because it was just so different. It was like that is no way that Nynaeve is going to get in my head looking like that. Or Lan, for crying out loud. I do not know what they're doing with that. I'm still stuck on book 1, says Sci-Fi Mombi. Yeah. Oh, well, keep going with it. Once you start, you kind of can't stop. Or once you get into it, it's really, really well crafted. And he's got a lot of really cool things to say. Grifter says, the books are great, and Jordan was a bridge between Tolkien and many of today's modern fantasy authors. I'm inclined to say yes. However, because everyone gets so sensitive and get us into these little wars. I try not to compare fantasy authors because they're just so unique into themselves. But definitely Jordan, if one wanted to say who was maybe closest to something Tolkien-esque, I would make that. I'll feel safe making that comparison. And y'all know what I mean. Everyone just tries to, oh, for engagement bait. And oh, it just drives me crazy because they know that they're being disingenuous. Some are, but yes, these fandom wars I have no use for. I mean, I'm a fan of everything. Tolkien is not being threatened by Robert Jordan or George R. Martin or anything for more reasons than I can enumerate. He is not being threatened, and neither is Terry Brooks being threatened by Tolkien. Well, for starters, all of these writers, these modern writers, they all admit Tolkien was the greatest fantasy author and they can't ever come close to him. The pitting them against each other comes from people for their own agendas or for making money who are making artificial divides between them. You can enjoy all of them and not enjoy. I completely understand why some people don't like certain fantasy authors or certain stories. Like looking back, if you want to talk about great literature, you're talking about Jane Eyre versus Jane Austen. How ridiculous would that be to pit Charlotte Bronte against Jane Austen or vice versa? They're just too different. But I can certainly understand if someone likes Pride and Prejudice but doesn't like Jane Eyre or doesn't like Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. That's a crazy book. It's a great book, but it's good. People are suggesting reading audiobooks or listening to the audiobooks. That's a possibility. My cousin Baron says Tolkien was the greatest ever. Yeah, he is. He's untouchable, in my humble opinion. And when I see people trying to tear down Tolkien, it's just silly. It's just silly. Because even if for whatever reason you don't care for the Lord of the Rings, and that is a possibility, it is possible for someone not to. You cannot deny what was achieved with that work and the debt that fantasy has to that modern fantasy. Scripture 23X says, the more great fantasy, the better for us fantasy letters. Darn right, lovers. Love who you love and read who you want to read. Some of my favorite authors are from the same time period as Jordan, Ron, Salvatore, Feist. Oh, yes, I love Feist. If you want to read an amazing series, the whole Rift War cycle, I read all of them. It took me about 2 years because, I was reading them on and off. And, oh, it's so amazing. Magician's great. Magician, you could read Magician, they broke it up into 2 books later and just be perfectly happy the rest of your life. Or you could read the first 3. And he has like duologies and trilogies. Now, I haven't started his new one yet because I stopped at Magician's End because for crying out loud, we're talking like 25 books. It was insane, but it was a great run. Yes, definitely. There's no reason to pit them up against each other. And keep in mind, anytime you see anything like that, it's on purpose for engagement farming and for monetization on X. Yes, we want good fantasy. And people need to, in my humble opinion, look into Robert E. Howard's Conan stories. They're short, they're great. Grifter says, Feist, the Daughter of the Empire series has been optioned by a TV production. I am scared. Yes. The Daughter of the Empire. Well, the first 3 Magician books and the Daughters of the Empire. It's been a very long time, though, since it first was announced. So I'm not entirely sure it's going to happen, to be honest. But it'll be a very similar situation to what we're seeing with things like the Wheels of Prime. So we don't even need to bother. We know exactly what they're going to do. Unless they shift it around a bit and go, hey, Wheels of Prime didn't make good money. Maybe we need to do better adaptations. However, they still have their rules. They have the rules that you have to have this kind of a character, that kind of a character. A lot of diversity, even if it's not written into the story. That's what they did with the Wheels of Prime. They made Moraine and Sichuan. I hope I'm saying that name right. Can't pronounce half these names because they're all in my head. They made them lovers. They made them lesbians. They weren't lesbians. They were best friends. But we have to have that, so let's do it with them. Even though, from what I've been told, there is going to be a romance with one of those characters with someone else, a heterosexual one. So they'll try to change that. Grifter has another recommendation. I would strongly recommend Melanie Braun's The Dragon Prince trilogy. It is all magic, politics, romance, action, great characters. I reread it once every year. Really? Well, I'll be darned. Well, that is definitely something I will put on my list. Right now, my goal is to read The Wheel of Time, to finish The Wheel of Time by the end of 2025. So that is keeping up all my time. What happened was I started with The Eye of the World, and I allowed too much time to pass. So you forget things and you get confused and you're like, dang it, this is just too complicated and too involved. I need to just read it and read them back to back. So that's what my goal is right now. I am cheating slightly with audiobooks for nonfiction things. So, but the only book that I'm holding in my hand in these 10 fingers to sit and read is The Wheel of Time. That is my goal, and that is what I've been able to keep so far for 2025. Man, I'm into Charles Dickens right now. It was my fault. I was looking at BritBox. I subscribed to that. And there's a show called Dickensian. Fanficky thing where a whole bunch of Charles Dickens characters are all in a story. And they're all interacting, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. Had its ups, had its downs, but the acting and the casting was top notch, and the way that it was showing this different stories that we know from the Charles Dickens books was quite well done. Well done. So that got me going, oh, I've never seen like Bleak House. There's a character in there that was from Bleak House. So I went ahead and watched the one with Gillian Anderson. And oh my gosh, was it good. It had the actor Dennis Lawson who played Wedge Antilles in the Star Wars trilogy. Oh, it was amazing. So when I got done with that, then I had to watch the one with Diana Rigg and the guy who is also in Game of Thrones. It was like a Game of Thrones reunion, all these British actors, and Durham Elliott. Oh, that was good too. Really good adaptations. It's a great story. So if you like that kind of thing, my goodness, or read the books, can't go wrong. So I started listening to the audio book of the Bleak House and lots of other things. So you never know where you're going to find some treasures. Some of Charles Dickens stuff, like A Christmas Carol, is so overdone. You're like, really? But you forget that even A Christmas Carol was a great book. He was the first serial writer. He would publish them in these magazines, and it was like must-see TV, but it was like must-read time. Not unlike what happened with the Harry Potter books when the new Harry Potter books came out. And do you remember how exciting that was? That was so much fun. We know that the new Harry Potter series is going to be a unmitigated disaster. We felt it in our hearts, but the latest news tells us, yes, we know what's going on with the Harry Potter. They're not capable of adapting these books right now. They're just not. And even these Charles Dickens adaptations that I've been talking about, they were done in the early 2000s or 1980s even, because they just can't do them properly anymore. They have to insert things. They want to win their BAFTAs. You can't win a BAFTA nowadays if you don't do these certain things. You can't win an Emmy. You can't win an Academy Award. So it's foolish to expect the Harry Potter to be any good. And we've already seen the signs. Even people that are unhappy with what we're seeing develop with the Harry Potter TV series will admit, yeah, it was only a dream. I knew that they weren't gonna do it properly, but just to have it confirmed is very frustrating. Very frustrating. So go backwards, or make your own stuff. Even if it's things that you're not even gonna publish, just do it for your friends. Remember when we used to do that kind of stuff back when we were kids? That was fun. Draw your own comics for each other and just enjoy it. Or get together with a proper Dungeons and Dragons group, not the new stuff, not the woke stuff. Stay with, was it no further past 3.5 is the general rule of thumb? Yeah. Your happiness is yours. Your entertainment is yours. What you do with your time is yours, and it is a choice. You do not have to do anything you do not want to do. So there. You heard it here first. You have permission from Miss Martin. Just don't. You know what makes you happy? Find what makes you happy and do it. What was it? It was the show gosh darn it, City Slickers. When Jack Palance's character says, "There's only one important thing in life," or "I found the one most important thing in life, and that's what I had guiding everything." I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And Billy Crystal's character says, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "That's what you need to find out for yourself. But most importantly, don't let anyone take your peace. And if you find someone taking your peace, don't let them. If it's someone that you can't get rid of, find a way to deal with it, to find a way to talk it out with them, whatever it is. But if it's a rando on the internet, you do not owe them 1 second of your time. Rachel Percy Art says BritBox is one streaming service I make sure to keep year round. All the BBC Austen adaptations are watched several times a year. Darn right. Yeah, they prove that you don't need a big budget to make them awesome. Some of those ones in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they looked like they were filmed in my living room with an old VCR camera. But the acting and the writing is so good, it doesn't matter. You got a good story, you got good actors, got good directors. What what do you care about production values? Some of the costumes are atrocious too. Yes, must watch. And there's so many Charles Dickens ones. I'm like, "Oh no. Oh no. I started down this Charles Dickens rabbit hole." Cuz there's not just Bleak House, but what our mutual friend I'm not too familiar with, not to mention Martin Chuzzlewit. I remember watching the Martin Chuzzlewit one back in was it the 90s? Little Dorrit. I've seen various versions of that. The Old Curiosity Shop is not one I've seen. I don't even know if they have a proper adaptation of that. I'll find it if it's available. The Dickens, you say? Darn right, the Dickens. Yeah, the Old Curiosity Shop, that was the one where Nell was sick and everyone was losing their crap saying, "Is Nell gonna be okay?" And, well, we all know what happened. All part of their charm, laugh out loud. Yes, darn right. Mhm. Well, you've got these Shakespearean actors. I mean, it's just good. Really, really good stuff. What they've started to do with these adaptations, it started around the 2014, 13, around that area. What was it? There was an Oliver Twist one. That might have been a bit earlier. They just slowly started to race swap the characters, and they always race swap, well, the ones that maybe aren't the progressive choices, like, "Oh, let's make the hooker black." It's like, "Okay." The problem with it, it's not because 'cause you're ist if you don't wanna see it, it's that it takes you out of the story. It doesn't belong. I'm sorry, this is the way the characters were described, this is the way this part of London and these characters interacting would have looked. And then to me, it's almost a disservice to say, "Well, let's just pretend that just didn't happen," because that's also denying something that existed. Story set in modern times, that's okay, fine. We can get that. Now, Bridgerton, I don't mind. First of all, I don't really watch it because it's trash. But hey, if that's your trash, that's your trash. But Bridgerton is supposed to be like a fictional version of England. So knock yourselves out, kids. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I watched the first season of Bridgerton. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Hey, this is good soap opera female entertainment that a lot of women like to watch. More power to them. That's great. Congratulations. But wow. Wow. That's all I got to say about that. Again, fiction. The only part of it that annoys me is the Queen Charlotte part, even though it's supposed to be a fictionalized Britain because she was a real person. We just need to be careful about that. And don't even get me started on how I feel about when they do this with real people, because that is really wrong on more more reasons than I can enumerate. Oof. So, in any case, well, I usually put under the ticker about what would you like to muse, but I think that you all in general know that. But yeah, these are open musings where you can, muse along with me in anything that you would like to discuss if it is so your inclination. I probably won't be doing it tomorrow morning. If I do, it'll be a premiere because I will be in an airplane, and it's very inconvenient to try to do this on 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 an airplane. For starters, you're not allowed to for very good reason. So I'm going to be up and about in the world doing things. I hope you all are doing something exciting this week. And if you're not doing something exciting, follow Special Agent Dale Cooper's advice and give yourself a present every day. You deserve it. You deserve it. And you need to keep yourself happy because life is too short to not be. And a little bit of what we were just saying earlier and what Salty Traveling Sea was saying, how are you spending your time? What are you putting your energy into? Is this something that is giving you a dividend? And if it's not, then don't. Whether it is something that is wasting your time, like spending too much time on a YouTube video that doesn't bring back a dividend, unless it was a labor of love and you wanted to do it, hey, go for it. Knock yourself out. I guess maybe it has to do with your motivations or anything else to that matter that can take away your peace. Rachel Perciart says, Bridgerton season 3 totally lost me with the gender swapping of love interests. Wait, what? Gender swapping of love interests. So they made them same sex, or made like a woman a man or a man a woman? Well, either way, if they did that, well, that's no fun because people follow the Bridgerton novels. Why would they do that? Unless they got some directive from on high, and we know that happens. Yes, we do. Well, so there it is. I'm going to go ahead and end this party because I've got a lot I need to do today. But I hope you all have a fantastic week. And I want to thank everyone for being here. We had Rachel, Percy, Art, Snorter, Poopus, Kuber, Grifter 23X, Sci-fi Mombi, Salty Traveling Sea, Adega Outlaw, said Snortopupus. Let's see if I missed anyone. It is not intentional. Things do jump around, and I'm so happy that you're here. And I hope that you have a great start to the week. And always remember that you are in control of your peace. You can't always be in control of your happiness, but you can be in control of your peace. Don't let the bastards get you down. Give yourself a present every day and unplug. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. I know I might be a fool. I feel like I'm a fool. Of course, these individuals are getting paid to post. Of course, they are. I just, naive. I don't know. Maybe there's still enough of a boomer left in me where you trust people. Who knows? But in any case, don't let it take your peace. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And again, be certain to give yourself a present every day. Do not let the bastards get you down. And goodbye.